The air tastes like iron and sand. Somewhere above you, thousands of feet stamp against stone. You feel it in your teeth before you hear it, a low rolling thunder that never quite stops. Your palms are slick around the grip of a wooden practice sword you're not even carrying into the arena. That's just habit, muscle memory from 100 mornings in the training yard. The real blade waits on a rack by the gate and you haven't looked at it yet. You can't. You're a gladiator, not a volunteer, not yet a legend, just a man standing in a tunnel beneath the Colosseum in Rome sometime in the 1st century AD. Torches gutter along the walls, throwing orange light across damp stone. The passage smells of oil, sweat, and something metallic underneath it all. You were bought or bonded or sentenced here, it doesn't matter which today. What matters is the door in front of you and the roar behind it. Most men down here are not free citizens. Many are enslaved, others are prisoners of war, and a smaller number are free men who chose this life for money or fame. All of you share the same cramped stone corridor, waiting your turn beneath 80,000 seats of shouting Romans. Above you, a network of trapdoors and pulleys called the Hypogeum can lift entire platforms into daylight, sending animals or fighters up through the floor as if they simply appeared from nowhere. You've seen it happen to other men. You've heard the gasp of the crowd when a lion rose out of the ground like it was born there. Right now, the stakes are simple and total. You could die in the next hour, not my. Could real records survive of gladiators fighting dozens of bouts across a career? But plenty never made it past there first. A doctor stands near the gate too, a man trained specifically to check fallen fighters and decide who still breathes. His presence isn't comfort. It's a reminder of exactly what's expected to happen out there. You run your thumb along the edge of your armor, checking the straps for the 3rd time. A trainer nearby, a man called a lanista, barks something about footwork you've heard 1,000 times before. You nod without really listening. Your mind is already on the sand, on the shape of your opponent, on the small tells that separate a killing blow from a fatal mistake. Here's something most people never realize. Gladiator fights weren't always to the death. Many bouts ended when one man was clearly beaten, and the crowd or the sponsor of the games decided his fate with a gesture. Survival rates were actually higher than popular imagination suggests because a trained fighter represented a serious financial investment. Owners didn't want their best men dying in every match. Still, injury was common and death was always possible. You know this, everyone down here knows this. It doesn't make the waiting any easier. You think about the last meal you ate, a heavy spread of grains and legumes that other fighters jokingly called the food of strength. Historians today have actually found evidence of this diet in skeletal remains, high in plant carbohydrates, likely meant to build a layer of fat that could protect muscle from shallow cuts. Somebody centuries ago figured out that a little padding could mean the difference between a scratch and a fatal wound. You didn't know the science, you just knew the food kept you standing. The gate begins to shudder. Chains rattle somewhere above, a shaft of daylight cuts through the gloom as the wooden door starts to rise. And for 1 second, the noise doubles, the crowd sensing movement before they even see you. Your heart is a fist against your ribs. This is the part no amount of training prepares you for. The space between darkness and light where your whole life narrows down to a single doorway. You step forward, sand crunches under your sandals as you cross from shadow into sun, and the sound of the crowd hits you like a physical wave. Thousands of voices merging into a single living roar. Somewhere in that noise are people who paid to see blood, people who admire skill more than violence, and people who simply came for spectacle. The way people today fill stadiums for a different kind of fight. You raise your weapon across the sand, your opponent does the same. What happens next isn't written for you in advance. Some days ended in mercy, a raised hand, and a cheer for a fighter who earned another chance. Other days ended differently. What we know from Roman records is that skilled gladiators could become genuine celebrities. Their names scratched into walls as graffiti, their faces painted onto pottery and glass. Ordinary Romans sometimes idolized these fighters the way people today idolize athletes, despite the brutal reality of how that fame was earned. This moment beneath the Colosseum in that dark tunnel with your pulse hammering is a strange mirror of something still very human. We still build arenas, we still fill them with noise for people performing under extreme pressure, even when the stakes today are usually about pride instead of survival. The tunnels are quieter now, empty stone corridors open to tourists instead of fighters. But if you stand there and listen closely, you can almost still feel that pressure in the walls, the echo of thousands of people once waiting exactly where you're standing, breath held before stepping into the light.